everyone, Susan here. I thought I would show you something a little bit different today. I'm going to be doing some adjustment to this dress back here. It's a vintage dress that was given to me not too long ago. I love it, but it is too tight at the waist and the back. So I'm going to try to do some adjustments to this waistline and changing the back so it's an open exposure back, and fixing the frayness of the fabric as well. And show that to you step by step in the process of how I come about it, how I think about what I want to do, and then follow through. I did wash it. It made it through the washing machine okay, but it is very fragile, so some of this is going to have to be reinforced. And I have some of the supplies here that we're going to need to do that, and that's just the fusible interfacing that I have here. Scissors, of course, a new zipper. I took out the zipper that was here. It was so old that it was not even able to go up or down. I'm just going to put a zipper about that large on it. Thread that matches, and this is the only other fabric that it came with, and that's the belt that I may have to use to fix this dress. So let's get started. Okay, some fun facts. This was a Tracy Lowe dress from London. It's a Tracy Lowe London, and it was made in India. And it also has a John Baldwin tag. Okay, John Baldwin was a very famous boutique that was downtown St. Petersburg back in the 60s and 70s, and it had high-level designs there and couture pieces. And I don't know too much about Tracy Lowe, but I did a little bit of research, and apparently she was very popular in the 60s and 70s. So this vintage dress was around 1970s. And it looks like it was altered inside, so I guess the person was probably very small because it was taken in. You can see it's a larger seam here. And then they encased the seam, which was very popular in high-level garments, to encase the seam in the lining so it was, you don't see the fraying of the excess. Almost like a French seam. But I'm going to try to take it out at the seam because you can see here that it's very, very fragile all the way down to the peak. So this is going to have to be reinforced. So I'm going to start taking it out here first and see what happens with this dress and kind of explore what it has to offer. To show you up close, it looks like that this encasing of the seam allowance, because it was a large seam allowance, was all done by hand. So what I'm doing is just taking my seam ripper at this point and I'm taking out the hand sewing part of that encasing of the seam allowance. Seam allowance right here. Explore it. Let's see where I would want to go with that. That means I'm going to start taking out the seam. Seam allowance from the lining and the main fabric first. I don't know if you can see that, like that. And I'm just using my seam ripper to do that. Alright, I'm just going to keep doing that. And I'm going to come back when I'm done with that. Okay. Okay, some more interesting things about this dress. It had a French seam on the bottom part here. I don't know if you could see that. And on the top part, it was taken in quite a bit. So I'm going to take in this area, or the edge, as much as I can get away with. I took most of the gathering out of the back. I want to keep the side seam where the side seam was on the skirt as well. I don't want to keep that all unbalanced. And so I've taken just a little bit of the gathers out here. And so then I'm going to be able to release it maybe a couple of inches. This dress was basically barely 29 inches. It was more like 28 and a half finished, and I'm going to need a good 30 to 31 for ease. And so I'm going to take it out as much as I can. This I pressed a little bit as I pinned it, so I'm going to take it in. We're going to take out that side seam on the top part of the bodice. This is the bodice here first. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side and then measure what I have again. Another fun fact, I'm not sure, is this little piece of lining that was put to encase the whole back side of the zipper. I'm speculating that this was a custom order. Why I'm speculating that? Because the actual sewing of it is consistent with the alteration itself. So it was either a custom order from way back, or the seamstress was in the same era, so it had the same kind of workmanship. Those are the only things I can speculate about that. So hopefully it's going to make sense soon. There'll be less gathers in the back. That's not going to matter because of the beautiful tucking that's there. It'll camouflage it. So let me get to that part. Let me finish the other side and I'll get back to you. On the seam allowance, I took it out to the furthest amount, and that extended my waist really well. And I want to make sure that this side seam that's here, right, is still on the French seam side seam that's on the skirt. Is right here, like that. And then that's going to go on the side seam of the dress itself, on the bodice, like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and sew these pieces here together, here, as well as on this side here, and I will be right back. Okay, I sewed back the seams, putting the side seam to the side seam of the skirt, leaving this extension here because that extension is what's going to fold over and clean finish the inside. Let's measure this now. I have my tape measure and I'm going to measure from one side to the other, even though it's not finished yet, just to get an idea. So I'm going to put it right over here on that side and just measure along the waistline like this and see what we have. All right, great. We have about 32 on the outside. It's probably going to be more like 31 or 31 and a half on the inside because this is an extension. So we're really good. That's great. So then I'm going to fold this excess here to clean finish the seam allowance, and then we're going to get started on cleaning and preparing for the zipper on the bottom and cleaning the back. All right, next step. I wanted to just show you a little bit. I'm doing kind of like a whip stitch. I'm turning back the excess and folding it back just like that. And I'm just taking a piece from the skirt and then from the lining and just stitching it by hand like that. That's the way it was done originally. And I just wanted to kind of continue the look of what was there originally. So that's what I'm just doing. I'm just showing you the stitch like that. I'm going to fold all of this back and continue stitching, and I'll be right back. Stitched it back, so it's all whip stitched back. It's all encased, the seam allowance is encased. And I'm going to measure it this time because I think it's going to change the measurement since that was stitched back. So let's go ahead and measure the waistline. And I'm going to measure from here on the outside like this. And we have, let's get it over here. And we have about 31, a little bit over 31, about 31 maybe and a half. That's perfect. That's what we're going to need. The zipper will be inside this portion, so it'll be a little bit less. So that's great. All right, next step. I decided to put it on the dress form just so you can see. So it was on this dress form before, so now it's on the dress form that fits me, and it's looking really nice. It's looking really nice. You got a little bit of blouson. I actually tried it on earlier, and I'm short-waisted, so it kind of blousons a little bit, which is nice. And I'm going to put a zipper here, but the most fragile part of the entire dress is this piece here. So I'm going to try to reinforce it with some fusible interfacing. Okay, let me show you that next. Show you that I cut a little piece in a V shape of the fusible interfacing to secure this area of the lining that's very fragile. It is adhesive, so now I'm going to go ahead and press it so that it sticks to it and reinforces it so that I can get this zipper on here without it being so fragile. All right, next step. I have pinned it. I have turned back the lining after I put the interfacing on it, and I have a regular zipper, so I'm going to make it like a kissing zipper. I'm going to have that sewn in by hand. I'm going to do the Couture way of sewing the zipper to go along with the lines of the times instead of an invisible zipper, which would be too heavy for this garment anyways. So I'm going to show you that next. Here I am. I've threaded my needle and it's doubled. You want the thread to be doubled, and then I have a knot at the end. And you want it to be as long as the zipper itself because you don't want to add an extension to it. And because it's so long, you should need to wax it. So I got my little waxer. I'm putting the thread through one of that, and I'm just waxing my threads because it just cries out for knots if you don't do that. All right, now I'm going to show you the stitch. I've already started it here, and I'm going to show it to you now. And all you do is wherever you came out of, you're just going to go behind it a tiny bit and then forward a tiny bit, just like that. And then you're going to do it again. You just keep doing that, making sure both threads are out. And you're going to go behind the thread that you came out of and then forward a little bit. That's it. And I'm going to try to put these guys together because having a double thread is not fun. All right, so then we have that. And that is the stitch, and that's the inside. All right, next step. I turn, after I did the zipper right over here, I'm getting the lining and I'm just turning back the lining onto itself, and I'm sewing it by hand. And I'm just taking it, turning it back, and just doing a slip stitch. It's just a simple slip stitch, taking from the bottom and then from the top as well, like that. And just doing that all the way down. Okay, as you can see, and I will finish this part here, and I will be back. I would show you what I'm doing with the dress first as far as pressing it goes. I washed this dress in the washing machine. I know, that's dangerous, but it worked out okay at a very delicate cycle. And I want to press it a little bit and get an idea of what the lining looks like as well. And I'm not going to just press it by dragging my iron. I'm going to just lightly put to steam and barely touching the fabric like this, so I'm not stretching the fibers at all. And that's just a little tip when you have a vintage dress or something very, very delicate. I'm not even touching the fabric itself. I'm just letting the steam go. If I need to press a little bit here and there, I'll touch it, but I'm not dragging the iron at all. I am just kind of pop, 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 pop all over the fabric. I'm going to do that to the actual dress and to the lining, and I'll be right back. Okay, I put it on the mannequin. It's almost done. I'm going to explain all the things I'm going to do towards the end of this. I turned back the lining, as you can see here, slip stitched it. The zipper is great. It's underneath is sewn, and there are hook and eyes on the outside of this. I just connected it here at the waistline, so I can use the hook and eyes if I want. Also on this, I could use the hook and eyes possibly if I wanted. And I'm very picky about labels. So what I did is I tried to keep it intact. And that is the way it was sewn on this other little piece of fabric. And I just cut it and turned it under so that I have it sewn the same way it was originally. On this side as well, I just took the little piece underneath there like that. And we have these extra little pieces that we're using in the back, which I wasn't really sure exactly what it was for. And what I'm going to do is actually clean the inside of the zipper so that it looks much nicer inside. Okay, I also noticed that the lining on the skirt is too long. I'm going to have to fix the lining, and I'm just going to have to shorten it, and I'll probably do that by hand. So there it is. There's the dress. Getting a vintage dress and adjusting it to your size and keeping everything intact with the originality of it. And I thank you so much for watching this video. Give me a thumbs up if you loved it. Check out my website, eliascouture.com. Sign up for my newsletter. There's a donate button as well. If you feel like you're getting a lot from my videos, donate to my channel because I do all this for you guys. So, and also ask me a question because you know I'm going to answer it. Thank you. Bye-bye.